Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm Stephanie from Mid-City Beat, as you probably know already if you follow me here on my publication. I wanted to check in with everybody. Well, first off, Happy New Year. I hope everybody's enjoying their new year so far. I just got off the phone with Dr. Carlos Aranda from the Emerer Hospitalaria, which is a relatively new private hospital here in Merida, Yucatan. And I have some very useful and important information to give you. I was just on a call with him for about an hour, and he got me caught up on what's going on with COVID-19 right now and the question of the year, right? The vaccination update. So I have lots of things to go over with you. And so I'm just going to kind of start. I have some notes here. And of course, I'm going to be putting in, here's the comments. Hi, Julie. I'm going to be, I have the comments here. So if you have any questions, just write it and I should see it here. But first of all, just the COVID update right now. The next 2 weeks are going to be very crucial. The private hospitals are full right now. They are at capacity. They are not accepting COVID patients anymore. They have seen, as expected, and a big increase of COVID patients that need to be hospitalized. And so there is no more space right now in the private sector. There is some space in the public sector, but we need to be very careful over the next 2 weeks. There, of course, as we knew, people were going to get together a little bit more and over the holidays, and that's exactly what happens. They're seeing an increase. Yesterday in Mexico was the highest number of cases since the start of the pandemic. There were 13,000 cases, a little bit more than 13,000 cases in all of Mexico. And so we need to really make sure we are being very safe, making sure we follow all our protocols. He was saying the next 2 weeks are crucial, that there are a lot of people in the street with COVID right now that have no idea that they have it. He said the next 2 weeks is going to be kind of like a super spreader situation. So we need to be really, really, really careful the next 2 weeks. I've been talking to Dr. Fanny Rubio as well, who works in the COVID ward, and she's been telling me this over the last couple of weeks that it was really inevitable, and we knew that the cases were going to go up. So they are right now in Yucatan. There is still space in the hospital, the public hospital. The private hospitals are full. Okay, so just be aware, be careful. The good news is that a lot of the cases are not as severe, and also the hospitals and the doctors are much more accustomed to treating people with COVID now. So it's so that's good news, I guess. So we just need to be on our toes. So vaccinations. I know everybody is very, very concerned about when the vaccination is getting here, et cetera. So I have a lot of info here. So first of all, we need to understand that getting the vaccination here in Mexico and in Yucatan specifically is going to be a huge logistics feat. We are going to need a lot of patience. The federal government has ordered right now in Mexico. There is 150,000 Pfizer vaccinations. That's in the federal government. And another thing to note, the only entity that is officially getting the vaccinations is the federal government, the Secretary of Health of the federal government. It is not being provided to any private clinics or private sources right now. So I guess Dr. Aranda did mention that there was some advertising in the private sector, the Pfizer vaccination is here. That is false. So be careful with that. I know everybody here is an educated person, but it's only coming through the federal government right now, the official Pfizer. The Pfizer is the vaccination that they have right now. There's 150,000. That is to be distributed to the medical personnel only in Mexico. Yucatan has not got that yet, but they are getting it within the next 2 weeks. And there will be 3,000 Pfizer vaccinations coming to Yucatan, and they will be given to the medical staff here. And on the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th of January, we are getting 3 more shipments of Pfizer, we meaning Mexico, the federal government of Mexico. And in that shipment, there will be almost 1.5 million doses of Pfizer vaccinations. Again, those will all go to medical personnel. Okay, so hopefully they're hoping January and February they'll be able to get the medical personnel vaccinated in Mexico with the Pfizer vaccination. And again, Pfizer is only selling to the federal government. So it is only going through the Secretary of Health of the federal government. And that's a good thing to note too. I mean, all of the sources that I quote here on Mid-City for all of my COVID reports come from only official sources, which means government sources, and the doctors of the COVID that are working with the COVID and working with the Secretary of Health. So it's important to make sure you double check facts now as well. So that's for Pfizer. Now they are also working with AstraZeneca, which maybe you know of that. It's a bioscience laboratory coming out of Cambridge, out of Oxford. And they are working with that laboratory here in Mexico. And the good news, it is also a vaccination that will be 2 doses like Pfizer. And the good news is that the federal government of Mexico just signed a deal with AstraZeneca, where they will be they will have a production line and distribution here in Mexico. So that's huge. That's huge. So, and they also signed a contract with AstraZeneca. They will be getting 55 million doses of the vaccination. Now, also to kind of give you an idea, AstraZeneca will be distributing throughout Latin America. So they will be doing some part of the process of the production of the vaccination will start in Argentina, and then it will end in Mexico. So in Mexico, they'll finish the process, and they will be bottling the vaccination here, which is good news for us in Mexico because the logistics will be a little bit easier that way as far as distribution. Those vaccinations will not start to be distributed until March. Okay, so we will not have the AstraZeneca vaccinations until March, but that's good news. Remember, I think the name of the game of vaccinations is going to be patience. Dr. Aranda also says we don't expect to get this vaccination to the general public until May, June. He said March through May or so, but really summertime is when it'll probably get to the general population. But again, the general population, it will go to the most vulnerable first. So so that's the deal with that. Okay, so I do have some other interesting information as well here. As far as the private sector, the private clinics, etc., we do not know yet. We do not have information on when they will get vaccinations. From now, it is all coming from the Secretary of Health, from the federal government. So, you know, you will be able to get vaccinated there. People will, not you necessarily, but people will be able to get vaccinated. They're going to have vaccination centers, probably like he was saying some sort of a health center, but a very large health center, whether it's a convention center, et cetera. Of course, vaccinations will be given by medical personnel. That will be very, very watched by the Secretary of Health. So the question of expats, are expats going to get it? Are foreign residents going to be able to have access to this vaccination? Yes, of course they will at some point, but they don't know the answer to this. So, like specifically right now, I think they're still in the beginning stages. So essentially we need to be, well, we need to talk to the consulate. We need to talk to the Minister of Foreign Relations. Not we, as in, the people that will be getting the information in the government. Not you personally. You don't have to call the consulate. No, we're going to be getting information. I'm going to be trying to get information about that. So far, the consul has said she doesn't have information right now. So again, it's a game of patience. We have to be patient. But we don't have a solid answer to that. But of course, the vaccination is going to be here, and we should all have access to it at some point in the year, within the year. They do, like I said, okay, and he also states that between March and May, 20% of they project that 20% of the population will be vaccinated. They're hoping that 20% of the population will be vaccinated by May, summertime. So that's an important number, he was saying, because that will lessen the mortality rate in a very important way, up to 80%. If 20% of the people in Mexico can be vaccinated, then it will lessen the mortality rate by 80%. So that's important. Another thing to note about the vaccination is that, of course, when you get vaccinated, you'll only be immune for a year. And there's still, the vaccination will be, Julie just asked how much it will be. It will be free for the general population. But again, the specifics on what the private sector might do, we don't really know that yet. Like right now, they're vaccinating the medical personnel. And then they'll go to the most vulnerable populations, including the populations that live in severe poverty. So the cost, there's going to be a zero cost on that as far as the information right now. Also, another thing that I had heard, a rumor that I had heard that is actually true, according to Dr. Aranda and the science, that when you are vaccinated, they don't know if you will have enough of the viral load to be contagious still. And so we're going to continue following all the protocols for a while, like a year or more. We're going to have to wear a mask. We're going to have social distance. We're going to have to do the same protocol. So even when we do get the vaccination, we're in it for the long haul. So I think it's important to remember that, we kind of think, oh, it's 2021 and we're going to get the vaccination, then we're all going to go out and have a party. Well, no. So that's something to remember. And the last, just to kind of finish up here, some other good news is that there are 3 centers here in Yucatan that are doing clinical trials with the Chinese vaccination, the CanSino. So they are, again, in clinical trials. So therefore, they are vaccinating volunteers and some of their medical staff. So, what we have right now is the Pfizer. We have AstraZeneca that will be coming in the next few months, as is for sure thing. But there are other bioscience labs that are working to get the vaccination. So, as the months go on, we'll have a little bit more information of how accessible these vaccines are. But those are being clinically tested right here in Yucatan, and they're having pretty good results so far. And then also, and also another thing that they are doing in Yucatan is they have started clinical trials for the monoclonal antibody treatment. So that is a treatment that they give to people with COVID that are in the hospital with COVID and have severe cases. They are in clinical trials right now, and they are in clinical trials in the Oran, which is the public hospital here in one of the public hospitals in Merida, and in the Red. They are doing clinical trials there. So people with COVID are being administered the monoclonal antibody treatment upon, of course, they have to sign a consent, etc. But they're seeing really great results with that. That is one of the treatments that Donald Trump received in the United States when he was very happy with his treatment. So they are testing that now. They're in clinical trials, and tomorrow they start the clinical trials with that antibody, with the antibody treatment to patients that are not in the hospitals, so that have COVID but that are at home. Yeah, that are at home. So that's going to be starting tomorrow here in Yucatan. So that's the gist for now on what's going on with COVID, what's going on with the vaccination, what to expect. In short, don't expect to get the vaccination anytime soon here. So be careful out there. Realistically, you probably will not have access to a vaccination until very earliest March, April, May, and most likely later on in the year. Okay, and again, we'll be talking with the consul, we'll be talking to the federal government to continue to get information for all of you, and especially you that are foreign, well, for everybody, but for those who are foreign citizens that are really questioning whether or not they'll have access to it and when they will. But just be careful. Yeah, Julie says, don't rely on what Trump took, made him crazier. Right. But I mean, these treatments are treatments that they're treating people with and having really good results with so far, as is the point of that. But yeah, so just be careful out there. Again, for the next 2 weeks, Dr. Enda believes that there are a lot of people on the street with COVID right now that do not know. And the private hospitals are full. The public hospitals have some space, but the doctors are worried. They think they're probably going to be filling up. So we just need to continue to take care of each other, keep distance and a mask and all the business, and wash our hands, but do the best we can, I guess. So that's the latest. One thing as well, I'm going to be starting with a Mid-City TV series. Well, I will not only be talking about COVID, but I will be talking about things that are going on in the city. So different live music, etc. Again, we got to be careful, but we can still go out little by little. And the Merida Fest 2021 is happening right now. So, you know, there's a lot of things that are happening online, and in Merida es Cultura. You can go to their Facebook, or you can go to the website, and they have a long list of artists and all sorts of cool stuff that's going on. So check it out. Some of those are happening in the theater in person, but a lot of it is online. But let's continue to support the arts and the culture and everything. Any mention of increased testing? No, we didn't discuss increased testing. I don't think so. I think it's the same protocol as it has been throughout the pandemic. So as an USA expat, go home and get vaccine. Well, if it's available now, if you can go home and get it right now, well, maybe in Mexico you're not going to be able to get it right away. Yeah, that's true. Anything else? Anybody have any other questions? All right, well, I gotta go because I'm late for my next appointment. All right, have a good day, and we will be in touch. Stay tuned for Mid-City TV. I'll be keeping you guys informed on what's going on in the city.